Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Really Healed Podcast. Today, I'm joined with the wonderful Trever Macken. And Trever is a man who's built a business from the ground up with his brother, lost his way through addiction and mental health struggles, and found himself at the point where he genuinely believed it might be the end. But instead of staying there, he reached out and step by step he rebuilt his life, not just for himself but for others also. Trever is now the co-founder of Ashbourne Paving, a business built on hard work, loyalty and graft. But more than that, he became the voice for people who are struggling in silence. Through his platform and the community he created, Calm, Calling All Lonely Minds, he is helping people every single day who are dealing with mental health challenges, addiction and loneliness. This isn't theory, this isn't textbook, this is lived experience. This is what it looks like when someone hits the bottom and decides to come back up. Trever, you're very welcome to today's episode. How are you keeping?
Oh, good, mate. Delighted to be on this now because, please God, we get through to at least one person today, and we'll be saving lives. So let's do it, pal.
I'm delighted you said that, Trever, because really that's the whole idea of this. So, for me, myself, I come from a place of lived experience. I've mixed it with my professional life and career. And, the Really Healed podcast is really figuring out what it takes for each and every person out there that has a life controlling issue in their life that they can heal. Also, I want to find all the ways. We're all different, we're all individuals, and we all live different lives. So what might work for me mightn't work for you. So that's the little, I suppose, exploration piece that has me doing this. But let's find out a bit more about you today. So bring us on a little bit of a journey, Trever. Bring us back to yourself when you were growing up, I suppose, where you came from, and yeah, we'll discover the rest along the way.
Well, I actually come from a really, really good family, mate, and I hadn't got any really bad childhood traumas until I was in my teenage years, but I was always that little bit worried wrong. I was worried by a plumber, if that makes sense. I wasn't worried by an electrician. I was worried a little bit different. So I was always a little bit awkward, a little bit socially awkward, a little bit different than most people. Want to be on my own a lot of times, and I'd always have a different mask on for different people growing up and trying to fit in, and I couldn't really fit into my own mind, to be honest with you. I was just a little bit off and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And as I got into my teenage years, when my mum and dad broke up, that's when my trouble started, because when my mum and dad were together, the family was close, we had family nights and everything was great. And now, don't get me wrong, we hadn't got much money, we hadn't got much, didn't go on holidays, or we didn't any of that stuff. But my dad worked hard, done what he could, my mum done what he could, and it was good until they broke up at the age of, I think it was 12 or 13. And that's when all my trouble started, because I was already the bit of a black sheep of the family. And when they broke up, I don't know if anyone out here would ever feel like this, but I actually felt like I was abandoned as a child. And abandonment issues create chaos in my mind. And my mind was that chaotic. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to deal with it. So I acted out. I acted out in crime. I acted out in violence. I acted out in sex. I acted out in drugs. I acted out in drink. Anything to get outside of my own head, so I wouldn't have to sit with myself. I done just to act out, and I became this kind of person that I didn't want to become. I became the person that I never thought I'd become, and slowly but surely, that's what happened to me. And I was always a really, really loving. I always have a good heart, and I never wanted to harm people, but put a drug in my body, and that was a different kind of story. But it was kind of very tough for me as a young lad with my mum, because my mum instantly became an alcoholic. I mean, the minute he let me dad left, my mum was self-harming. She just suffered from mental health issues. She was in unit 9, out and in. And I used to go home from school wondering, is my mum still alive at 13 and 14, 15 years of age? And a kid shouldn't have to come home from school wondering, is their mum still alive? You know what I mean? And that was my kind of teenage years.
Yeah. And what brought you up then to the point of Ashbourne Paving? And I suppose there's loads of people, Trever, that would follow you through your different social medias and stuff like that. And I've heard bits of your story before, and it's one of the reasons I really wanted to get you on. I think you've a great connection with so many people out there, and I suppose that's how your social media has grown. And it's a fantastic platform. I there's not a day that goes by that I don't come across some form of message from you, reaching out to people, and I suppose that leaves then questions in people's minds. Where did he come from? What's his story? Tell us a bit about that. And I've always asked myself, was there Ashbourne Paving before or after? Is it only since you got your act together Ashbourne Paving came about, or what? Tell us a bit about that.
So I'll just fast forward. So I was a crazy motherfucker until I was about 23, 24, and then I kind of copped on. We opened up my first business when I was 24. See, what saved me was when I was 17, I was lost. I have ADHD. I definitely have learning difficulties. I could never learn anything on my life. I hated school. I was forced to go to school. I wouldn't go to school. So when I got the job I got a job for 6 months in a factory, and I fucking hated it. And I absolutely hated it. And I had no purpose. I thought it was just going to be. And my teachers used to put this into my head. All you're going to ever be is a petrol pump attendant. That's all you're going to be. You're waste, or you this. What's wrong with you? Anyone ever said to me, Trevor, what's wrong with you? So anyway, when I got my first job in construction, I found my purpose, mate. I started to settle into life. I started to stop hurting people, started to stop doing lots of stuff in my life. And I had a purpose, and my purpose was grafting. And I'm fucking some grafter. And I just grafted. And I had from I was 17 till I was 24, 7 years working with a company. I'd done a bricklaying apprenticeship with my own crew, and I progressed very, very fast in that company. And by the way, a fella called Jerry Ford, and he's dead now. He died of cancer a couple of years ago. I got 2 prison sentences when I was working for that company. And that man came up and bailed me out of prison twice, because he used to call me to his office and say, "You are the maddest fucker I've ever had working for me, but I see something in you, and I see your heart, I see what you have, and you're such a good asset to the company, and you're such a good bloke. But when you put a drink in your body, you turn into Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You go off the rails. But I have so much respect for you and work." And he bailed me out of prison. And I went out on my own then when I was 24 and started my first business called DTM Construction just before Ashbourne Paving. We had a different paving company, and that's how it started.
And was it originally set up with your brother, or did he come in then for Ashbourne?
I set it up by myself. And 6 months later, he seen I got loads of work in, and he came on board with me then.
It's something I noticed, I suppose, from the social media. He's not a face I associate with Ashbourne Paving. You don't see much of him. He seems to keep the low profile. And I suppose all families are like that. Some people are a bit more out there than others. I don't know. Maybe I'm presuming, but I take it he didn't have the same level of struggles as yourself. How did that affect, I suppose, your relationship going forward with him? Well, I was always kind of I'd always drink more than him, and maybe use more than him. And then there was a stage in his life where he was drinking too much, but he could stop. You know what I mean? Where I would keep going for a couple of days and stuff like that. And then as I got older, I never dealt with any of my childhood traumas. I never dealt with any of my issues. I had a lot of addiction in my mates, and I lost 7 or 8 of my friends to mental health, suicide, car crashes, addiction. I lost a girlfriend at 18. I was with her for a few years as well in a car crash and stuff like that. So with a lot of trauma, I lost my best friend in a motorbike accident, and I never dealt with it. And slowly but surely, as the years went on, I thought I was all right. And then the addiction started taking over, start coming into me head that you're a piece of shit and this, and keep going, and you say, "Don't worry, you're gonna be all right," and telling me loads of lies and telling me just to go drinking on a Thursday, and slowly but surely I started getting really bad. And in my 30s then it got really bad. I mean, cocaine and alcohol addiction got out of hand, missing work, letting me brother down, not turning up. I lost out on a £250,000 contract one time. I never showed up for the meeting, and all this sort of stuff. And my life was unmanageable. I lost 2 stone in weight. I was using something every single day then just to get through the day. Whether it was something, I was always had something in my system, and it just got so out of hand where I wasn't
I wasn't a nice person anymore. I was doing the things that I always said when I was younger that I'd never do. I done them in my 30s. Like the stuff that you wouldn't even talk about on here that I said I'd never do. I end up doing all that sort of stuff and letting myself down, letting me kids down, letting me family down, and most of all, letting me brother down who stood by me, we were business partners and best mates all our lives. And all of a sudden then I wasn't his friend anymore. I was going off the rails and he was looking after the company. And only for him the company was gone, mate. He done everything in his power to keep that company going while he was still giving me a full wage while I was off the rails. I was missing 2, 3 days of work and coming in bits and really, really ran it into the ground and I nearly lost it. But not most of all, I lost myself. I lost my values. I lost my morals. I lost everything that I ever built in my whole life that my mom built into me. I lost through addiction, and I was just so blessed that eventually I got to rock bottom. I got more than rock bottom. I got to surrender. And once you hit surrender, you can start going up because as you know yourself, we can hit 20 rock bottoms and they're not going to stop you.
So
So you have to surrender.
for me, Trevor, there was definitely a defining moment. Right now, I tried. I'd been down to local addiction services. I'd been linked in with clinics. I'd tried a couple of different rehabs. Didn't work for me. I remember one lady in a treatment centre saying to me, leave your attitude at the door, you can collect it on the way out, and by the way, there's another trip round the block left in you. I don't know what you're doing here taking up a bed, you're only wasting your own time. And the other thing she said to me is, by the way, she says, what we're going to teach you here, she said, a head full of knowledge and a belly full of drugs don't mix. And I went off and done a few more laps around the block. But there was a defining moment for me, and I still remember it vividly, where I just knew enough was enough. There was two choices: end my life and give up and forget about it, or try harder than I'd ever tried before to do something. Didn't know exactly what it was. I had one of those a God instance, I'd call it, moment in my life where something radical happened, and it was the turning point. Was taken into a place very, very quickly, and that was the start of a new beginning for me. Did you have anything like that? Was there a definitive moment in your life where you said, I've had enough, this has to change? And what was that?
I kind of had a few. I'll tell you one story. I went to a treatment centre in Thailand and it's called Tamra and you get sick to drain for 5 days, spent 8 days in there and get out of there and come home and got 16 weeks clean. And I was my daughter's christening, and I went and I planned this all, and I said I'd take all the kids home, and they all went drinking. Yeah, you go, I'll be all right by myself. I'll take the kids home, I'll be grand. And I had this plan, and I got loads of stuff, different cocktails, just drinking drugs, and went on this absolute bender with the kids in the house and putting the kids in car seats and drink driving and all this fucking sort of stuff, really bad stuff. And she come home then and I was just on the floor and nearly having fits and didn't know what was going on and really in bad nick and nearly dead at that stage and couldn't stop, just could not stop. Um, put one of my kids was in hospital. Then another story. One of my Heidi was in hospital, and I was asked to go up to the hospital to see her, and she didn't bleed. She's only had to be born. Actually, this was before that story. I went up to the hospital to spend 24 hours there, and I couldn't even stay sober for the 24 hours I was in the hospital, and that was one of the lowest moments of my life. My daughter was in there. She was only newborn. She had a bleed on the brain and bleed coming out of her ear. Didn't know what it was. And she could have been in big trouble. And I was that selfish and that self centered that I went out and used in the hospital while she was there. And that broke me, mate, because I went out to jump in the liffey then and people saying, don't jump. And that was before suicide, so called suicide attempt. And I was never really going to jump in, to be honest with you. I was just wanting to go and do what I had to do, and that was really a really really rock bottom moment for me. I fell asleep one time. My eldest daughter was in the airport. She was only 13 at the time and never collected the airport. She left in the airport at 13 by herself and I was asleep in my ma's. And, these kind of really, really rock bottom things. But what really used to get me was, and this is the truth, I used to be using right in the house and I used to be downstairs and it'd be time to go to work, and I'd hear this noise upstairs, the two little footprints of one of my kids waking up and walking down the stairs and looking at me, and I used to just cry my eyes out and look at them and say, how can he be this low? And then I do it again and again and again. But eventually you crack, mate, and you crack. And I've done it that many times and cried that much. It was other. I made a decision that if I did not stop, I am going to kill myself 1,000,000%, because I tortured myself, let me brother down, let me business down, let me kids down, and most importantly, let yourself down to the lowest of the lowest, where I wasn't even washing myself. I was going and just nonsense, mate. And I got that low where one day my brother texted me going, Trevor, I let him down again once more, and he texted me, I'll never forget this, and he texted me going, Trevor, you are a junkie. And no one's ever called me that before. And I got up out of bed, I cried my eyes out, I looked in the mirror, and I said, Trevor, you are a junkie, mate. You're gone. You can't stop. You need help. And I rang me brother, rang me sister, rang me dad, me man. I said, right, I need help. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. And that was the defining moment that day. And when he called me that, and he ran and got help, and he said, right, you're ready. Let's go. We're gonna help you. And I was in the treatment centre a week later, mate. You know,
And
for the last time.
I suppose the journey then, Trevor, and your recovery process, what did that look like initially, and what does it look like for you today?
So when I came out of the treatment centre, I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I was worse coming out than I was going in, because I had all this shame, I had all this guilt, remorse, anger. What the fuck am I after doing? How did I let myself get this far? How did I let all these people down? Like in treatment, your family comes in and talks about all the stuff you've done, and they all come in and riddle me over and told me how much of a piece of shit I actually was, and told me stuff that I didn't even know I'd done. And like I broke down in there. When I get out, I was worse, but I met this fella. He actually died of a relapse, and he brought me to my first cocaine anonymous meeting. That was in Blanchardstown. And I joined the home group, and this is the most important thing I've ever done. I went in, and they all put their arm around me and goes, hey, how's it going? Do you want me to add you to the WhatsApp group? No, right. And then the next week, no. Fucking 3 weeks later, I said, yeah, I need it. I feel like I'm not well. And I got to know them, and he added me into the WhatsApp group. And all of a sudden, then I didn't go to the meeting one week, and two of them rang me and goes, Trevor, didn't see you at the meeting. And I says, geez, these people actually cared about me for the first time in life. What did he want from me? Maybe they want something from me, you know what I mean? And he didn't. He just wanted to help me. And slowly but surely, I built up relationships with them. Then I got a service position in the meeting. And then I was secretary. And then eventually I done the 12 steps of recovery. And I started to recover. And only for the 12 steps of recovery, I don't think I'd be here today. Because personally, I needed that structure in my life and all them steps for me for a design to live the rest of my life, to learn how to live a life properly, and you know what I mean, and design for living. And I've done the steps, and I've recovered every year better than that. You know what I mean? So
Fantastic. It's funny, I suppose for me, recovery properly started in 2008, and then I jumped into the industry fairly quickly after that. And I suppose over the years, I've been introduced to every model of treatment that you could think of. And I know lots of people who say I'm not into the 12 steps and they didn't work for me, and I don't like going to meetings, and etc., etc., etc. But when you break it down and you look at all the different models that are out there, they're pretty much all the same thing, just repackaged as something else. I suppose it's just how they're delivered to you. But I suppose the 12 principles of admitting you have a problem, you're powerless over it, and that you can do nothing about it, and that you need the support of a higher power, whatever that may look like, whether that be, don't mention the God word, God,
yeah, I know. Yeah,
take religion out of the equation, whatever your higher power or your spirituality looks like, whatever works for you, but being able to incorporate that into your life, being open and honest, and being able to admit your wrongdoings and ask for forgiveness or apologize, and check yourself regularly, do the things that are recommended to you, practice them in your everyday, and then being able to reach out and help somebody else still stuck in the situation you're in. I mean, in a nutshell, there's your 12
That's it.
steps,
Yeah.
and I think they're a key piece to nearly everybody's recovery, whether they want to admit to it or not. It's the same, only different as the 12 steps. But what does that look like for you today, Trevor? I know that you've a good few years under your belt. You've been around a long time, and you have noticeably to the wider public radically turned and changed your life around. But what does that look like for you today?
Today, be honest with you, my life is absolutely amazing. Like I practice this on every day, and the key to life is, and when I finished the 12 steps, I knew then my goal in life was to help as many people as I possibly can. Like, I've sponsored lads from sticking needles in their arm, right, to turning around, getting clean, and a year later going to this man's wedding. You know what I mean? Having three more kids, and I'm looking at this fella going, this fella could not get one day clean, sticking needles in his arm, and I'm at the sponsoring him and helping him get his life back. And I'm at his wedding now over in Spain, and I've just experienced so many great things like that over the years that I know this stuff actually works. And the stats will tell you that the people who do this sort of stuff will stay clean a lot longer than someone who doesn't. You know what I mean? So I've done this with a lot of lads, and to watch it work. My life today, like, I get up in the morning, I go to the gym from 6 to 7. I do a little bit of walk then all day. A little bit of walk, loads of walk. We walk all day. I come home and walk. I get me kids. I do a little bit more walk again. I go for me run then. I run 4 days a week. I go to a meeting. I spend time, any spare time I get, I try and spend with my family after that, because I don't get much spare time because my life is just so, so, so busy. But I wouldn't have it any other way. My life is absolutely amazing. You know what I mean? I work hard and I play hard. I love me holidays. I love spending time with my kids, going on weekends away. It's what I do, and help as many people as I can. And setting up the CAM group was absolutely amazing because we're saving lives. You're one of the admins. We're saving lives there and we're helping so many people. Now, there's so many people are leaving and coming and leaving and coming. That's okay. WhatsApp groups are not for everyone. They're hard because there's so many messages. But if you want help, the help is there. If you don't want it, you don't have to get it.
Yeah, and I'll come back to you on Cam now in a minute. Um, there was two things I wanted to ask you just crossed my mind. I saw on your social media post the other day you were at a conference over the weekend. If you could talk to me just a little bit about that, what was at the conference, what sort of speakers were they, what were the topics and stuff like that. And the other question I wanted to ask you was, is there anybody that you really look up to? Is there anybody you would see as a mentor or that you go to yourself to seek guidance or, life on life's terms support from?
Well, I started with my sponsor Philip. He sponsored me for 5 years, and I used to ring him and give out to me. He'd take everything back to me. I'd say, "Oh, me man, fucking this or me that," or whatever. He'd say, "Trevor, will you cause this issue, whatever?" So he always took me back down to who everything starts with me and back to me. And he's the one who brought me to the steps and told me about all the amends. And he's absolutely, man, I really look up to him because he really taught me how to design for living my life and took me through the steps and really, really helped me. The conference, it was a Cocaine Anonymous conference. Now, I'm married to Chelsea. Chelsea, my wife, she's from Glasgow. I met Chelsea at a Cocaine Anonymous conference convention 7 years ago. 2 years after I met her, I went back to the same conference, same convention in Glasgow, and got down on one knee in front of 400 people and asked her to marry me at one of these conventions. It even gets better. Received River at the Irish convention. Do you know what I mean? 5 years ago. So they really, really mean a lot to me. And I love them because what they do is you get there, there's workshops it could be a workshop, could be sex and addiction, sex and recovery, it could be relapse prevention, couples in recovery. Like, there's all these different workshops going on all day in different rooms, and there's marathon meetings where you can go upstairs and just get to a meeting. There's meditation, there's sound baths, there's sea swims. It's absolutely fantastic, and we love them. And I haven't gone to one in a couple of years, but that's the first one we've went to. I even go to ones in Portugal. I've gone to ones in Portugal, England, Scotland. I've got to one in Wales. I've got to one in Croatia. I've got them all over the world. They're absolutely amazing. They're just full of different stuff, topics that are just all great about recovery. Like, it could be anything, gambling, it could be drinking, drugs, and all mixed, and they'll just absolutely blow you away. They're amazing, honestly.
It's funny, I was looking at a thing during the week, and somebody asked me a question, and it kind of sent me down a bit of a rabbit hole, and they said to me, are you an alternative? What was the word they used? First of all, they asked me, was I a healer? And then they asked me, was I a therapist? And I said, well, kind of a little bit, it depends what label you want to put on it. And they said, that's what it was. They said, are you an alternative therapist? And I said, well, what does that mean even? They said, well, you obviously don't prescribe anything because you're not a doctor, and it kind of sent me off down a little rabbit hole. And, I meet an awful lot of people, and the first thing they think I'm going to suggest to them, if they have a struggle or a life controlling issue or mental health, depression, anxiety, stress, whatever it is go and see your GP. And not to dismiss or forget about the GP, because they're definitely important. But I find that a lot of people, if the first point of call is the GP, they generally put on some form of a medication, And when you were just talking about the conference there, you're talking about all the alternatives, sea swimming, obviously health and fitness, sound baths, different stuff like that. Meetings, being able to just share with another human being what it is that's going on for you. To take the advice of a bit of talk therapy, I suppose, if you want to put a label on it. And it's funny, when you find people that are in recovery, they're very open to alternatives of healing, therapy, recovery, whatever word you want to put on it. What is it that you found? I know you're into running and your fitness. What is it that is key for you in maintaining what you have today?
Okay. The key to me is helping other people. That's number one. So a lot of people don't see me, wouldn't will allow me from social media. I get hundreds of messages on social media, people struggling, and I try and help as many as I can. I can't help them all, and as long as I'm helping other people, it makes me feel good. And if I know that I help someone every single day, I feel better. Number two, obviously, my wife Chelsea. So if I have something on my mind, I have a beautiful wife there who's understanding. She knows that I have to go running. She knows for my mental health I have to do. I work like a maniac, and she's so understanding. She knows about recovery, and she supports me. And she goes, "You need to go for a run." I go for a run. Like today, I went for 11 kilometers before I come on here. She went, "You want to hurry up if you're going for that run? Get out the door." She kicked me out the door. You know what I mean? And she's just amazing. Me running saves me. Running is me. I don't go to as many meetings anymore because I have young kids, and I think my priorities need to be at home now. I don't need to go to 5 meetings a week anymore. I'll be lucky if I get one. I have the mental health group. I still check in with people in recovery. I still in the WhatsApp group with the Cocaine Anonymous in Ashbourne. I set it up there 7 years ago, and it's still going strong. So I'm still involved in that slightly. And but running, see when I go running, the last 5 weekends in a row, I've been racing somewhere in Ireland, racing. And just, to me, going to a race, the buzz, meeting all these beautiful people, and everyone knows you on social media, and they all come over and give me a hug and say thanks and well done. And I'll tell you one quickly story, and this is true. 2 years ago, year and a half ago, maybe, I was at a race, and this fella walked up and he goes, "Are you Trevor?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "You're the reason I'm alive today." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "If my wife was here today, can I get a photograph with you?" And he gets a photograph, and he goes, I watch all your videos every morning. You're talking about mental health and struggling, and you're running." He goes, "I start running, and I was crying my eyes out running," he says, "at the start. And now I'm here doing my first race, and I bump into you. And you're the reason I run. You're the reason I'm still alive. You're the reason my mental health is stable at the moment. I just want to thank you." And he started crying, and I started crying. And until I was hugged it out, and we just sit there, and I was saying, "This stuff is working, Trevor. Keep doing it." And so I kept doing more videos, and I do so many mental health videos. I probably do 5 or 6 a week, different videos about being strong and mental health and addiction and, recovery. And getting over people and letting people go, and I just do so many videos, and I get so much good response. And don't get me wrong, I get loads of these messages and fucking, who do you think you are? You think you're this, think you're that. I just don't care about them. That one message I get every single day of someone saying, "Oh, thanks very much for that video today. I really need to hear that. You saved me life." And I get a lot of wives texting me going, "Thanks very much, Trevor. My husband watches all your stuff, and I just want you to know that you're really helping him out there." This happens to me maybe 10, 15 times a week. I get these kind of messages off wives and husbands or whatever it may be, and kids text me, "You're saving me, dad." And why do we be like that? Oh my God, this is working. So I'm just going to keep doing it regardless of what anyone thinks of me. I don't care. Once I'm helping someone, I'm happy. And that's the way I want to live my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, powerful stuff. I had a guy. I obviously, put a bit of stuff out on social media. I'm obviously advertising my business. I'm trying to give out a few little hints and tips and, draw people in and try and get them to bite some way. And for me, I suppose, yes, it's a business, but yes, it's also that piece of wanting to help people. But I was contacted early last year, by a guy, and he said, "I watched your video and you saved my life." And I said, "What video was it? Just so I know what it was that you watched." And this will tie in with my next question. But we got him into the CAM group. He was from the UK. He was homeless, only a young lad, going through a few struggles. I done a piece of work with him in the background through CAM, helped him out, and completely turned his life around. He ended up getting a job, going back to work, getting accommodation, stayed off the stuff, and got himself sorted. And he messaged me. He'd went a bit quiet, and I was a bit concerned about him. I sent him a message, and he said, "Look, I've left the group," he said, "because my head is no longer in that place anymore, and I genuinely don't need the support, but I know you're always there in the background, and I'll never forget what you've done for me." And he said, and it started off by watching a TikTok video. And I thought, Jesus, that's powerful. And it's like that, Trevor. If you only ever reached one, ever, wasn't that enough? I remember coming onto social media and thinking, fuck me, this is cringe. What's the lads I went to school with going to think, or what's the fellas I hung around with going to think, or whatever, all that stuff, and held me back from biting the bullet and going and doing it. And I realised one day, they're not paying your fucking bills. They're not running a business, their own business. They're working for somebody else. This is yours. You have to go and do this. Don't be worrying about what other people think. And then when you get that message back, it drives you to want to do more and give more and do. And it's funny, this is my line of work, helping people with life controlling issues. And yet the piece I do in the background, free, is some of the most satisfying work. And that brings me on to my next question. What was it that, and I kind of know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway, what was it that made you start CAM, Calling All Lonely Minds? Tell us a bit about it, actually, for anybody listening in that doesn't know about it. Why did you start it? And yeah.
Right, so I've lost 3 old school friends in their 40s through suicide, and it's all drug related, right? And I was nearly that man. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be broken. I know what it's like to have the worst mental health where you can't even look in the mirror. You look in the mirror and what do you see? You see a piece of shit behind you. You see you think you're worthless. You think your kids hate you. You've nowhere to talk to. You grow up in an area where keep everything to yourself. Man up. You have to be the man in the house. You can't tell anyone anything. Come on, cop on. Get out of that bed. You're grand. And I was told a lot of my life, it's nonsense. Then I was friends with a chap, I don't want to say his name here. He committed suicide. But a week before he committed suicide, he rang me, and about 2 weeks before, and he rang me, goes, hey, Trev, what's the story? I love your videos and all. Like, we'll have to meet up soon. I said, yeah, let's go. And I was talking to him for actually a couple of months, but the week before he died, he rang me. And he goes, my brother's in bad shape. I think he's going to die. He's in addiction and all. We have to try and help him. And he never mentioned once about himself. And then a week later, I was away doing a race, one of my super halves, and I finished a marathon. And I had the medal, and I was delighted with myself. And I got the phone call that he was at the doing it. And I said to myself, do you know something, Trevor? this is fucking, something has to be done here. You need to do more, Trevor. I know you're doing a lot for people. You have to do more. I'll tell you another story. A fella rang me one day and he says to me, Trevor, can you help me? He texts me. And I text him and I could have helped him, right? And I looked at him and I went, oh, here we go again. Here's someone trying to get through. And I said to him, I'll ring you back in an hour. And I was going to ring him back in an hour. He killed himself 5 minutes later, mate. 5 minutes later, I knew this fellow. I was friends with him.
Yeah.
I knew he was struggling, and I didn't reach out to him quick enough, and he killed himself, right? And I fucking had some guilty over that. So that's two main reasons. And then my friends, and I said, Trevor, you know something? Let's do something. And I done a video over, and I think it was in Lisbon or Prague. It was in Prague. And I done a video with me medal around my neck talking about that we have to all do more. I'm going to set up a WhatsApp group. And the thing went viral, and I got all these messages of people saying, please, can I join it? And I set it up. And it was so weird at the start because I had all these mad people in it. And they were all sending dick pics to each other and boobs to each other. And it was crazy. And I was deleting people out as quick as they were coming in. Oh my God. Then, of course, I started building it all by myself. And then we got the admins in. Then I had to get my help. And I obviously got so busy, so I needed help. So we got the admins in to help. And the admins are doing, one of the admins are doing fantastic. And that's what really got me to go with it, because of the people out there. There's not enough being done for people, and I've noticed that in my videos that people out there, I mean, if I showed you me the messages I get messages off someone saying, please don't share this on social media, but listen, I've got 4 kids and I can't stop drinking and using and no one knows. And I just say to them, please tell your wife, sit her down and just be honest with her, because the only way we're going to get over this is if we all get together and talk about this stuff. Just, no, I can't tell anyone. I said, please. And I have a fella who rang me, he's actually a paver, and he contacted me a few weeks ago, and he rang me crying. He goes, listen, I'm really suffering from bad mental health. What am I going to do? I can't tell my wife. And I got on the phone to him and says, Misty, please go home tonight and tell her that you rang me and tell her I told you that you have to talk about it. And he rang me the next day and he goes, Trevor, I cannot believe my wife took it so well. She understands now, and I'm about to tell her that I'm really, really struggling. I'm really stressed over work, and I told her that I got honest about my work, that the money's not coming in now, and I'm really struggling. And then he rang me a few weeks ago and goes again, just want to say thank you. Since I told her that, I've got more work, my mental health is better, I have a great relationship with her now, and I'm never been happier.
Yeah.
All because he done one thing.
Yes.
And that's getting honest and told her. But he thought, his brain told him, if he tells her that he's struggling, he's a piece of shit. He tells her he's not going to have that much money this week, that he's a loser. But it's all nonsense. And as soon as he got honest, she put her arm around him, told him, and now the man is back to normal. So that's all he had to do. But the people who commit suicide all the time, they're convinced that they're no good, that they're no good in this world, that kids are better off without them, and they can't talk about this stuff because they know what it's like to be really broken, and they're afraid of being, if they share it with their loved ones, that they be broken over them. So it's really, really sad, because I was like that. I was afraid to tell anyone because I didn't want to be a burden on people either, but eventually I had to. It was either commit suicide or tell them, because I'm going to share this. Your family would rather carry the burden of your tears than the weight of your coffin, and that is a fact, and people don't realise that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why we started Cam,
Yeah.
and as you say, it's going amazing.
That's a powerful message, Trevor. And yeah, I've had suicide in the family, so I know exactly where you're coming from. I was doing a piece of work with somebody yesterday, and they were talking about that block and that mental loop of the voice in the head telling them a certain thing, pure shite and lies, but telling them, and the power of being able to share that with somebody and air it and all the rest of it, right? And I hate admitting to this, but I was doing a little bit of doom scrolling this morning for a few minutes, and I came across this video, and it was literally just, as you do, flicking through videos. And there was a particular sentence that a guy said that really stood out to me. And it, again, sent me down a trail of thought, right? And it said, take every thought captive. And I've heard that saying, I think it's a Bible saying, Bible verse or whatever. But I've heard that saying so many times. And when I heard it, it clicked with me in my head. And I just thought, if we can take those thoughts captive, stop them while they're going on in our heads, look at them for what they really are, and question them. Is that the truth? You're a piece of shit, you're no good, nobody cares about you, you're not loved, whatever the shy message is in the head. Is that the truth? Because generally it's bullshit, It's something you fucking made up in your own head or you've picked up off somebody else that have told you. And being able to throw it out there on the table and talk about that and get them things out, massive. There's not a week that goes by, Trev, that I don't see the results of Calm and how powerful it is. I recommended it to somebody a couple of weeks ago. They were really, really struggling, and they've thanked me, if not every day, every other day since I've added them into the group. So really, really powerful tool. Why do you think it is, Trev, that so many people struggle in silence?
I think it's the one number one. It's the area I brought up on, and it's the stigma is still there, even though it's breaking. The stigma is still there that us men and women to a certain extent will not share where they're at, but mostly men. Like, I can't tell them I'm struggling. I can't be a burden on people. I have to man up. I have to be the man of the family. I can't be in. But then they'd walk into the bathroom and they'd have tears in their eyes. They'd hop in the van in the morning, have tears in their eyes, going to work. Hey lads, are you all right? Yeah, Grant. That's what we always say. What do we always say when someone says to you? Even to this day, someone will say to me, how are you doing? I'm grand. It's just, even though it wasn't grand, you still automatically say, I'm okay. But we have to say, we're not okay, because it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to cry. It's okay to have feelings that shouldn't be there. You know what I mean? It's not awkwardness. It's just life. The stigma is still there around men's mental health, and a lot of it is caused of drugs as well, because they have this addiction and they're hiding it. And then if they tell them they're struggling with bad mental health, you'd have to tell them about their addiction. So they're hiding their addiction until their mental health won't let them speak about the addiction, because then it'll be a double waste and then they only really get well when they deal with their addiction, and then they can start talking. That's what happened to me. I never told anyone about my mental health, but when I came out with my addiction, it was still there. The mental health was still there. I still had the shame. I still had the guilt. I still had the mad head telling me I was a piece of shit and I was a shit father and you're worthless and everyone hates you. And I still had all that. But my sponsor used to say to me, don't ever believe anything your head tells you. If your head tells you something you don't like, you ring me. She used to ring him and say, I'm a piece of shit this morning. Trevor, you're not a piece of shit, mate. You're 8 months clean. You're a great father now. You're helping the community. You set up the cocaine arms, mate. You're not a piece of shit. And I say, oh yeah, you know something, you're right. But I'd have to ring him and ask him,
Yeah,
because my head was telling me that my kids were going to die in car crashes, and I swear I went through all
yeah,
this mad thinking. I used to tell me, I used to walk, this is swear to God, Richard. I was in the gym one day, right? When I was walking out, and my head was in 6 o'clock in the morning, my head was at me, piece of shit. You're too old to lift weights. You're shit. You're weak. And I went, fuck off. I used to shout out, walking down the road, and everyone looking at me going, what the fuck's wrong with him? I'd walk down the road sometimes and I say to myself, Trevor, fuck off, really shut the fuck up. People looking at me, but I have to shout out and tell me own mind. Now it's not as bad anymore, but I used to have to tell me own mind to fuck off. Because they try and get me back using. Yeah, I'll be alright, just have 1 point. Be
yeah.
grand. You deserve it. After working hard all week, you're 5 years clean. It's your kid's birthday. It's your ma's anniversary. You just drink. You know what I mean? So I have to watch this thing
Isn't that
for the
that
rest of my
piece
life.
that I just said a minute ago? It's capturing the thought and saying, "Get out the fuck," No, there's no room for you.
Yeah.
What did they used to say to me when I was in treatment many years ago? Are they paying rent? If you're up in the office, are
Yeah.
they paying rent now? Tell it to get out, evict them. Yeah, very good. I was looking at statistics, because that's what I do, and it's a depending on the country 80-20 mix, 25%, 75% men to women ratio in
Yeah.
suicide.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the latest statistics only weeks ago. And there was a new study came out and found that the records for women's suicide are drastically under recorded,
Right.
that they're put down to accidental death, because the style of death is different in that A lot of it is tablets and alcohol mix,
Yeah, yeah.
and therefore it goes down to an accidental death, or there's a couple of different titles on it. But basically, they were saying that the statistics are off, but not to the point of 80-20. There might be another 10 or 15% either way there. And you know I suppose it's important to point that out, that women's mental health is just as important as men's is. But there is that huge piece, definitely the stigma of, big boys don't cry, and men not being able to open up and share and talk about their struggles and their mental health. Huge piece. And I suppose, yeah, I just want to commend you, Trevor, because, the amount of people that I might say talk about calm to them, which I do fairly regularly. And who started that? Where did that come from? And I'd say, have you ever heard Trevor? Oh, I see his TikTok videos all the time, or on Facebook or Instagram or whatever the social platform is. And what a blessing in disguise that is, that you have the ability to be able to do that. And I think one of the things that really stands out for me is that sometimes when you see people who are movie stars or famous singers or a famous sports person, and they talk about mental health or recovery or things like that, you kind of go, ah, yeah, well, it's all right for them, you know.
I
But when
know.
you see one of the, one of yourself, one of your neighbours or somebody that you're considering equal to you, come out and speak about it very openly and honestly and brutally honestly at times. I've watched one or two of your videos at times and went, fucking hell, he's not messing about there. Like, just say it
No, I
as it
know.
is, why don't you, Um,
I know.
but that's maybe the message that needs to be heard out there, and it's clearly having an impact. Um, I just want to ask you a couple more questions and then I'm going to let you go because I know you're a busy, busy man. If you had your
No,
younger self sitting in front of you at its lowest point, what would you say to him now?
Don't give up. Simple as that. Never, ever give up on yourself. Because pain is only temporary. Whether it's 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, just never give up. And that was me. When I was at my lowest, right, I wanted to give up every single day. And every day I'd wake up and say, I'm going to try it today. And I'd fail again and fail again and fail again. But my biggest strength was always my heart. And I was always strong willed. I was always never give up. And I never give up on myself. And I knew the day I got clean, I knew for a fact, I says, the sky is the limit now, Trevor. Because I have the ability to do lots of good stuff in my life. And I had just had that little, as soon as I got clean, I knew the sky was the limit. I knew it. I knew I was going to achieve good things. I knew I was going to achieve good things in business. I knew I was going to achieve good things in life. I knew I was going to get everything that I ever wanted once I stay honest and help as many people. Everything. I'm not messing with you, Richard. As soon as I start sponsoring lads and start helping people, right? I'm not messing with you. Every door just opens for me. I never had to ask for one door to open. I never had one door locked. Every door I went, it just opened for me. And I went, oh my God. And the next door, and the next door. And I just kept helping people. And everything's just opening for me. And I have not one bit of bad luck. I had not one bit of nothing since I came into recovery. Before I came into recovery, all I got was bad luck, bad decisions, terrible stuff. I just say, if you're out there and you are struggling, please just don't give up. Hang on in there for 1 more minute, 1 more minute, 1 more hour, 1 more day, and you will get there because pain is only temporary. And take it, wake up the next morning and just try again. And eventually you see the light. And see, I used to see darkness, and when I came into recovery, I had this little bit of sunlight, right? And when I seen it, I fucking ran for it, and I'm still running for it. And every time I run for it, I just see a bit more, and I still haven't seen the full bit of it. There's still more there for me to see, and eventually you'll see it all. Please God, and as long as I stay clean, 1 day at a time, 24 hours a day. I'm 10 years clean in June the 12th. Okay, and
Perfect
I'm
stuff.
just it's going to be an absolute amazing achievement, and hopefully, please God, 1 day at a time, I get there the 12th of June, and I can't wait. 10 years is a big celebration because I couldn't get 10 minutes without putting something in my body, you know. So that's it.
I,
But,
I, I have somebody I really look up to. He's in his early 80s. He lives over in the States, and he sends me little gifts every now and again. But I keep this beside me desk as a daily reminder. Never give up. I suppose the last thing I would ask you, Trevor, is what message would you give to anybody that's watching this or listening to this today that may be
well,
struggling or that may need to hear something from you today? What would your message, your leaving message to them be?
my main leaving message to anyone out there that's struggling or that's in bad mental health or bad addiction, you have to tell someone. Do not keep anything to yourself, whether it's good or bad. Talk about it because I suffered in silence myself. Trevor, what are you doing this week? Are you all right? Yeah, I'm grand. I'll be all right next week. I'll start again tomorrow. And I would not talk about my problems. And the more I didn't talk about it, the worse I felt. And the more my brain told me how much a piece of shit I actually am. And the more lies my brain told me that I was a crap father. Because if you don't talk about something, your brain will talk to you and tell you the most negative things. And them negative things could kill you in a flash. So if you're out there struggling, if you speak about what's going on in your mind, you will get there. If you don't speak about it, your mind will keep telling you lies and keep tricking you into doing the same thing. What's the definition of insanity, Richard?
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
There you go. If you don't talk about your problems, you're gonna have suffer from insanity, and that could kill you. That's my message to anyone out there, 100%.
Trevor, thank you so much. Before
No
we
bother,
wrap it
bud.
up, Trevor, where can we find you? Give me your social media handles, give me your business handles. Anybody looking for a bit of paving work done? I've watched your videos, so you do a lot more than just paving. I've seen some of the gardens you've done, and some of the extras you do in terms of bits of carpentry and lighting in the driveways and all that kind of stuff. You do fantastic work. So where can they find you?
Ashbourne Paving Limited, social media, any social media. Find me on all the platforms of social media. Ashbourne Paving Limited. I have a company called King of Toilets, but watch out for the big one. I'm opening a spa salon in about 6 weeks' time. It's nearly there. The finishing touches are going on. They're starting to close it up now. So we're going to, me and Chelsea, it's called Rewind Aesthetics. I own half of Chelsea. She's doing amazing. So that's coming that's going to be a big opening now this in about 6 weeks' time. You should be all down for the opening and all the admins be down getting free spas and you down for the opening. So you'll find me on that. You'll find me all over social media.
Great stuff. When we send this out to the masses, you can find the links below to find Trevor in all those different areas. But Trevor, I just want to thank you. Great message, powerful message today, and you're very, very welcome. It was an absolute pleasure. So, welcome and thank you for tuning in to the Really Healed podcast. If nobody told you today, the Mouse Williams loves you. Remember that healing is not just possible, it's powerful. Thank you.